Get ready for some serious space action, something epic and dramatic.
I'm excited.
Sold?
It's all going down this week across the night sky.
With Mars closer than what it has been in 15 years, almost double the brilliance of Jupiter through the naked eye, and the longest total lunar eclipse of the century, space enthusiasts can tune into the skies for a double celestial delight this month.
Much of it has been swallowed up by fire in one day. The extent of the damage was impossible to gauge as night fell.
A wildfire tore through a beach resort community popular with tourists and retirees.
This is the E94 motorway leading into Athens, with drivers risking their lives to get past the encroaching fires. 100-kilometre-an-hour winds fanned the flames and dispersed the smoke.
This is the deadliest fire season to hit Greece in more than a decade. 60 people are reported dead in wildfires raging outside of the capital.
The fires spread. By Monday night, there were 3 wildfires, the worst now east of Athens in the seaside towns of Mate and Rafina.
It's a difficult moment for the region. It's a difficult night for Greece.
A dry winter and now a sweltering heatwave has turned the country into a tinderbox.
Rescue crews reported finding more than 20 people huddled together on a beach, and the Red Cross told local media that some had apparently been family members who were found hugging each other.
Closure of roads and a main highway. In the village of Mati, charred cars cover the streets. Greece is now asking the European Union for help.
Korea is not alone in trying to cope with the unbearable heat. In some parts of our world, the sizzling conditions are proving to be the deadliest they've ever experienced.
This is the first time we're hearing about a case of people at sea hurt because of the volcano's incredible power.
This is the moment a fireball exploded out of the sea, showering a nearby tour boat with flaming rocks. The blast is nerve-rattling as the screams of terror from the passengers on board. In just the past few days, a new island of lava just off the coast has begun to form, drawing tourists who want to get close to the action.
I definitely would not tell other people not to go do it because of this, because this is probably a once-in-a-lifetime happening.
A once-in-a-lifetime experience, in more ways than one.
Since May 3rd, the Kilauea volcano has erupted continuously, ravaging the landscape of Hawaii's Big Island.
The ongoing flow from these fissures creating these huge fields of now hardened lava.
This morning, lava is still pouring out of massive fissures or cracks in the ground.
In Japan, a massive search and rescue operation is underway for victims of the worst flooding there in 35 years.
Flooding has ripped Japan in two, with central and southern regions largely submerged.
Over the weekend, torrential rain, at times as much as 3 inches per hour, inundated roads and entire towns, swallowing homes and cars.
More than 3 times the normal amount of rainfall for the entire month of July has fallen on parts of western and southwestern Japan since Thursday.
The death toll has steadily climbed, but this year there were special circumstances. Typhoon Praparoon entered the Sea of Japan on Tuesday, high winds taunting Japan's southern islands before it moved north, dropping unprecedented rainfall.
Firefighters in Sweden say their battle for control is far from over. Remarkably, nobody's been injured by the dozens of wildfires.
Wildfires rage as far north as the Arctic Circle. More than 40 fires burned across Sweden on Wednesday, prompting Swedish authorities to seek international assistance.
Unusually high temperatures across the whole Nordic region, up to 33 Celsius, coupled with virtually no rain for several weeks, have made the vegetation here highly flammable. Finland and Norway have also had wildfires in the last week.
Norway, which dealt with wildfires of its own in 100 locations last week, has also dispatched 6 helicopters to Sweden for assistance.
Swedish authorities say that as of Thursday, an area equivalent to 20,000 football pitches had burned. That's 10 times the size you'd expect in a normal year. And some fires are still spreading.
Northern Israel was shaken awake Thursday morning by a series of small earthquakes. Measuring at magnitude 4.1, these security camera videos show the streets heaving and shuddering. No one was injured, but residents say they were shaken.
I felt the quake at 1:45 in the morning. I was sitting in my parlor when suddenly my chair started shaking and I heard the ground rumble with a loud boom.
And now the Holy Land hasn't had a major earthquake since 1927, but after over a dozen minor quakes in just the last few days,
Israel is located on a massive fault line called the Dead Sea Transform, where the continental plates of Africa and Arabia meet.
To Iran now, where a magnitude 5.9 earthquake has struck the western province of Kermanshah near the border with Iraq. It came just hours after 2 smaller quakes struck Hormozgan province. 2 earlier earthquakes in the south with magnitudes of 4.7 and 5.7 damaged buildings in a few villages without causing casualties. Iran is crisscrossed by major geological fault lines.
Now, last month was the driest June on record for large parts of England, while Scotland recorded its highest ever temperature. The Met Office revealed that today.
Britons are sweltering under an intense heat wave. Today is the 13th consecutive day where temperatures have reached 28 degrees or above.
The weather extremes do extend far beyond the United States. The temperature in Japan, just west of Tokyo, hit 106 today. That is the highest temperature ever recorded in Japan.
And so it's not so much that Japan is unused to heat waves, it's that the intensity is stronger than it has been in the past.
Mid-July is usually the monsoon season here in the nation, but that's not the case this year. Instead, we're experiencing a scorcher of a weather, a condition set to last at least a week and could go on for the rest of July.
A heat wave in Sweden inside the Arctic Circle is feeding dozens of wildfires, one of the worst outbreaks the country's ever seen. The strong winds are fanning wildfires in Greece, including 2 major fires near Athens.
While heavy rain and severe weather impact the eastern 2/3 of the country, parts of the west are gripped by record-breaking heat. It is hot with a capital H.
In downtown Los Angeles, the City of Angels feeling more like hell. a record 106.
It feels dangerous. It feels like I'm burning and I'm wearing sunscreen already.
In 4 hours, temperatures rose 30 degrees in Universal City.
We have fires here. It's not unusual, but not of this magnitude.
Tonight, epic fire and record heat. A dangerous and deadly combination.
The heat is making the battle against California wildfires all the more difficult.
Tonight from California, where homes are being threatened, to Oregon, where structures are being lost, crews are losing ground in this deadly and destructive wildfire season.
Heavy downpours triggered massive flooding in central Pennsylvania yesterday. Floodwaters swamped roads and homes and swept away cars.
With smoke visible from 30,000 feet, it's heating up on the front lines. Tonight, as the weather gets dangerously hot, the West is getting burned.
About 80 miles northwest of Philadelphia, raging floodwaters swallowed the town of Tremont, Pennsylvania. Officials there declared a disaster emergency because of the flash flooding.
Someone could come help save me.
In nearby Pine Grove, a stranded driver took cell phone video of the flooding as he sat on top of his car,
devouring everything in its path.
We don't have fires now, we have mega fires.
The inferno is exploding so quickly, the extent of the damage is unknown.
We saw rates of spread that normally we would only see in the early and late fall.
Tonight across the West, crews bracing for a firefight.
Hershey, Pennsylvania, the famous Hershey Park and neighboring Zoo America closed because of flooding. Drone shots show the extent of the rising waters.
When we live in the city, it's very easy to forget what's happening outside our own little world. You headed out to Walgett and spent a bit of time there. Just how devastating was it to see the drought firsthand?
These are some of the state's most productive areas, and we were walking on 25 square kilometre farms with not a green blade of grass. The entire farm, they've had one crop in the last 6 years. Sheep are dying. Farmers are getting ready to lock the gate and get jobs off farm.
Brian, drought in Australia, it's not restricted to any one place or any one state. Did a lot of drought-related stories when I was growing up in Queensland. I was a young cadet reporter in Rockhampton in particular, and you know, farmers would get depression and a lot, you know, there'd be a lot of suicide. Because they can't go on? Is that still as bad as it gets?
Absolutely. Country psychologists and psychiatrists are adamant that the drought has seen an increase in suicide and suicidal thoughts. And Brian's colleagues who run a psychology service are getting 2 or 3 calls a day or text messages from farmers on the brink of suicide because they can't cope anymore and they can't support their families.
And they're taking something like 50 calls a week from farmers who are suffering from anxiety, depression, you know, threatening to suicide. I mean, and 80% of these callers are men. That's unheard of. That's how bad it is. It's critical. Right.
On the intervening night of 27th and 28th July, the moon will be totally eclipsed for 1 hour 43 minutes. The event can be observed in a large part of the globe, including in India, where it can be seen after 11:54 p.m. Indian Standard Time on 27th July.